So, this book was not what I expected. Not at all what I expected. And actually, it was much, much better than I expected. Much better. But it had its moments. The issue was the bad guys. Now we'll get to it. This I was gonna keep track of characters, but decided it wasn't so much to do it. So, anyways, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina, and it's nice to meet you. And I hope you're having a good day. And I want to know if you'll be my friend. My friend. I need a friend. Can you friend? Can you subscribe? Can you subscribe to my channel? So, anyways, I saw this book and I picked it up. And it was not, I don't know really what I expected, but it wasn't what I expected. I don't know, maybe one of those quest type books where someone comes to you, a relative, whatever, confidant, whatever, says, you must complete this quest for me, we must do this thing, we must find the gold ring or the treasure or the hunt or something, and something happens to the guy and he dies or whatever, and you have to pursue it on your own, or he gets kidnapped and you have to go rescue him and you have to do all this stuff. And it's as much as I've looked for time travel books similar to Outlander, and there's another one, I can't think of it right now. I have a list. I should have made it, but I have a list of other books. The Time Traveler's Wife is too confusing to get even into. So this was different, and it was good. There's lots of different time periods. So anyway, let's get to it. The Skin Map, Stephen R. Lawhead, and it wasn't what I thought. Now, it starts off with, there's this little map in here too. It starts off, it has the heading says, fancy you're rushing through the London rain, late to your appointment, getting soaked and cursing your luck, when you suddenly find yourself in a wholly unfamiliar place chatting with a crazy old man by the name of Cosmos. He not only knows everything about you, but he claims to be your great-grandfather. And then before you know it, you are hurled into the midst of an unlikely adventure involving the hidden dimensions of the universe. Sound good? That's, while Arthur Flinders Petrie is long gone from this plane of existence, he left a map of himself behind, a skin map. It has been separated into 5 pieces, but as the old man Cosmo explains to Kip, the reassembled map might just lead them to the secret of the universe, or something even more significant and monumentous. And apparently, I didn't write it down. I should have wrote it down. This book has 5. There are 5 books in this series, and I've ordered all 5 of them. The other 4, so we'll be getting into those. The bone and the stuff. But anyways, so the first chapter, Kit is, and the first chapter is a little throwing off. It just was like irritating as all hell, and I might not have pursued it, but I decided to stick with it. And so Kit is trying to get to his girlfriend's house. He promised her he'd go shopping with her. It's her one day off, and she has a job that she's not too happy with. He has a job that he's not too happy with. But so he's trying to get to a house, and he runs into a whole slew of problems. Oh, and before I forget, spoilers. All of my videos are spoilers. Let me warn you up front. Spoilers. I don't spoil. I usually don't. There's a couple I've been doing with Black Dagger Brotherhood, but other than that, I don't spoil the who done it, but I spoil the characters tremendously, horrendously, and that's just it. Oh, and this is the D. Louise book series, and I'm Christina, by the way. I forget if I said that or not. And what you see is what you get. No special effects, nothing like that going on here. I just read books and talk about books. No theme music or anything else to hold your attention. I'm sorry. So, anyways, he's trying to get to his uh, girlfriend's house, and he runs into a host of problems on the subway. He loses his ticket or his card, and his thing gets punched, and the security and the computers are not working. It's irritating as all hell. And then he runs into Cosmos Livingstone, who says he's his grandfather. So, oh, shit, let me blow my nose. Not doing very well today, am I? Okay. So he runs into his grandfather. Your father is John, your mother is Harriet. You were born in Weston-super-Mare, but your family soon moved to Manchester, where your father worked as a managerial something or other in the insurance trade, and your mother was a school administrator. When you were 12, your family upped sticks again and settled in London. Kid halted. He stood in the middle of the alley, wrestling with the twin sensation of alarm and disbelief. He turned around slowly. The old man stood smiling. How am I doing so far? Even in the uncertain light of the alley, the family resemblance was unmistakable. The strong nose, the heavy jaw, and broad brow. The hair rippled like waves from his forehead. The broad lips and dark eyes, just like his father's, obnoxious Uncle Leonard's. It was all of the basic design that Kit had seen repeated with greater or less variation in his family members. And he goes on, and then he's, well, how do you know all this stuff? Well, I told you, I'm your great great grandfather. And he goes, oh yeah, if this would be the great grandfather who went down to the shops for a loaf of bread one morning and never came back, the same one who abandoned his wife and kids in Marylebone. Dear me, you know about that, do you? Well, let me, yes. But it wasn't a loaf of bread, it was milk and sausages. The old man's gaze grew. Tell me, what did you go out for this morning? Huh? What was it? Tin of beans? Daily paper? This is how it always happens, don't you see? No. So he goes on. He has them jump the ley lines, and there's a whole thing about ley lines. And if you we will do one day. Where are they? Kim Harrison's. Go this way. This way. There you go. Which series? The Hollows, or she's over. No, that way. Mary Gentry series and the Fey lines. There's lots of books. Oh, and what's her faces? The Karen Marie Monings. She has ley lines in those too. So he takes them through the ley line, and they jump through. And he says, Kit drank some more, reviving a little more with every sip. So what are these ley lines then? Into the invisible square the old man drew a straight diagonal line. A ley line, he said, speaking slowly as one might to a dog or dull-witted child, is what might be called a field of force, a trail of telluric energy. There are hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, all over Britain, and they've been around since the Stone Age. I thought you might have stumbled across them before. Kit shook his head. He tells Kit that he needs help with a project. So they talk about the galaxies, and Kit says no. He wants help doing ley lines. And I was trying to find that page, but I didn't write it down. He says no because he believes it a dream, and he doesn't believe the old man's story, although he's in this place. But the old man takes him back. He jumps the ley line back. He jumps back to his own time. However, 8 hours has gone by, and he gets to Mina, his girlfriend's house, and she's pissed off. She has waited there all day for him. Now, the average chick might have just gone out shopping without him if he didn't show up after an hour or two, or maybe gone to his place or called his telephone to see what happened if he got lost or mugged or killed or whatever. But she just sat in her house for 8 hours. And he tries to explain to her what happened to him, and she doesn't believe him. So he decides to prove it, and he convinces her to go back to the spot. So they go back to the spot, and what you're supposed to believe is that the book starts out in modern day times. And what does it say? I was just he tells he goes to the corner, and he takes Mina with him, his girlfriend, and they make the jump. However, due to her circumstances or not believing, or maybe she took a step wrong way, or whatever happened, you'll read the book for more details, they got separated. And Kit ended up where his grandfather was, and Mina ended up someplace else, and Kit is looking for her. Make the jump, echoed Cosmo. What did you do, Kit? Nothing, protested Kit. I was just going to show her. She didn't believe me, so I wanted to show her the ley line, you know? Well, the same thing happened as last time. I ended up here, but she got left on the other side. Stupid boy, roared Cosmo. How could you do something so utterly asinine? It seemed like a good idea at the time, Kit replied. Anyway, there's no reason to assume the worst. Nothing's happened. You better hope so. She'll take the tube home, big T. She'll be royally annoyed at me, but she'll be fine. You don't know what you've done, do you? You haven't the foggiest idea how incredibly dangerous this is. No, why? How dangerous? More dangerous than you could possibly imagine. But you said if I changed my mind, I was to come back. I didn't expect you to bring along your paramour. I suppose you told her everything. Why not tell half of London while you're at it? Place a notice in the Times and the BBC. While the churn is upturned, all that remains is to assess the damage. Pray that it is not a complete disaster. And his grandfather is worried about the Back to the Future and the flux capacitor and all that situation. If you go back and you change one little situation, the ripple effects of Back to the Future, the movie, and he's afraid of that in this, but we don't see that yet. This is only the first book. I didn't realize till I was in deep into it that I realized that this was a 5-part series. So this is just like part 1. So his grandfather feeds him and stuff like that, and then he says, if your friend has traveled to another plane of existence, it's a problem, a very big problem, one that must be addressed with all urgency and seriousness of purpose. So come along, my boy. We're going to see an old friend of mine. He's giving a lecture this evening. I've arranged for us to have dinner afterwards. We'll explain the situation to him. As it happens, he's a colleague and a scientist. He may be able to help us. So they go back and they talk to this guy, and yes, ma'am. What? Come here. Come here. You keep tapping me. Come here. Come here. You wanted to come here. Now come here. What? Mommy's trying to read a book. What? Go on. So they jump the ley line and they travel back to 1666. Now that's the good part. The good part is the fact that you're told when Kit, the first couple of times, then it gets a little muggy or foggy, but you're told when Kit does the jumping, and they've gone back to 1666, September 2nd, and it was the day of a great fire, and his grandfather hands out bread to this lady and thereby changing the Great London Fire details or whatever. And Kit was like, wait a second, I thought you just said that we couldn't change time, and you just changed a big huge time thing. And his grandfather goes, yeah, but we lost a lot of books in that fire, and I'd rather save the books. I'm like, okay. So they travel back because they're trying to find the first they start off trying to find Mina, the girlfriend, but it quickly shifts and they quickly completely stop even talking about her. She's like tossed to the wind. They're not even worried about her. They're worried about getting this map that could help them lead them to the most important place in the world or whatever. And when are we? What year? He asked. 1666, Cosmo answered. September 2nd to be exact. A few years after the Restoration, then. Samuel Pepys and all that. In home world terms, it would be. Home world, the origin world, he explains, or as you might say, the real world. It's the place where you and I were born. But this isn't, I thought, no, this isn't time travel. Remember, we've gone to another place. Supposedly they've gone to another dimension. So we'll see what happens. What just happens to be in another time? Precisely. This is not simply Restoration England revised. This particular England has its own history and its own developing along with its own evolutionary tale. Similar given a common starting point, but different, and those differences multiply year on year. An alternating history, volunteered Kit, in an alternative world, so to speak. But in this particular England, we're not in the Restoration because there never was a cessation of monarchy. Charles I was never deposed. In fact, there was no civil war at all. Really? No loyalists, no roundnecks, no Oliver Cromwell smashing up things and bossing everybody around with pikes? Oh, thereabout, but this is England. Cromwell is an irritant preacher. He's still a right pain in the ass, but relatively harmless. You don't say. In fact, the entire political climate is very different, as you will see. So they're here in this one particular time period. And he's telling them about the alternative life, and he changes clothes. And as they go to jump the ley line, these burly men come out and attack them. And it's just but the problem. My biggest problem is that you're not told about the time frame of the bad guys, because then we start seeing the bad guys later on, and you're not told what time period they're in. And one of the bad guys jumps the ley line like every other page, but you're not told that he did this. You're not told that he went to the ley line. You're not given any of the information. You just have to pick it up from the story. Like we'll get to it. In the one, he's going for pyramid, and in the one, he's in a real modern day car, and then in the other, he's in a carriage. So you have to. That was a little bit frustrating that you weren't given more specifics on the bad guy. You didn't realize that he was the bad guy until it was later on. So they go to this lecture, and it's the burly men come and take them, attack them, and kissing the bread. And Wilhelmina, we discovered that Wilhelmina has made it to another time, and she is quite happy in her time. she went to the year of our Lord 1606. She went to 1606, and she meets this guy Etzel, uh, and he's German, and he left his home to go to Prague because things are bad in Germany, and he's not doing so well financially. His family's not doing so well financially, and so they establish a relationship because she's like walking down the road and she realizes she's not in modern times anymore. So this guy picks her up in his wagon and they go to Prague, and they start to open up a bakery. And Wilhelmina seems to thrive in this environment. She does really, really well, and she's happy. She is a good negotiator. She's a good businesswoman. All her good attributes come out, and she does really well. So they open up the bakery, and they have a really good time. It doesn't start off too well, and then Wilhelmina decides we need some coffee beans. We need to serve coffee with our pastries and our breads. And she sets up little tables in a shop, like an outdoor cafe, and she's really going at it. She's really having a good time. And they're trying to get in with the royalty and the king, and they do all this stuff. Now, back on Kid's side of it, he's trying to find the map, and he meets his cousin, sort of, kind of. She's supposedly Cosmo's niece from this time. It doesn't really make her actual reality identity is not really explained, just to the point that she claims to be a niece. But if she's a niece, then she's from the future. But this woman does not appear to be from the future. So her relationship is not really explained all well. And then we get this guy getting tattoos in China, and then this other guy comes upon him and sees him. It's not explained what decade we're in. It's not explained where, it's supposedly in China, maybe someplace else with docks, and it's not, the information is really not given. It's kind of obscure. And then Mr. Burley is eating a full meal in one place, and the next page he's in another place eating a full meal again, and it was a little confusing. And I was like, he claims to be the Earl of Sutherland, and so they do some time jumping back and forth, and Kid goes through his uncle's books in this other time period, and he's trying to find information on the ley lines if his uncle wrote notes, and he's trying to get the supposed niece, to work with him. And then they get the driver, Giles, is just a servant, and he's unfamiliar with dealing with people as an equal. So they go off on their adventure, and it's a long while before we even see Cosmos again, and even find that he's still alive after the Burley men got him and Sir Henry. And but we do spend a lot of time with Mina and Etzel and their bakery, and it's amusing how well they do, and they're enjoying their life, and Mina is enjoying it immensely. Then we get some of the Lord Burley materials, and he's the bad guy, but you're not really told he's the bad guy right off. So that was like my biggest thing, because it wasn't the Lord Burley jumped time so often, almost every other page, sort of, kind of, and you're not told that he did this. It's not even a couple of sentences introduced that he did this or did that. And this other guy falls in love. This other guy comes out of the blue, and his relationship is not really explained much, but it's a really good book, and it kept my interest. And while the most interesting parts to me were the Kit parts, and the Mina parts. Mina was having a really good time. And you know me, I'm an historical book reader, and I like historical books, so I like the history in it. And I like when I was told when they are and where they are. But I had a little trouble understanding the bad guys because I didn't know where or what year they were in, what their purpose was, what their goal was. It's kind of muddy or foggy, whatever. But it's really interesting. And there are several of the characters do not survive the book, and someone else decides they're gonna go find the. They don't say it. I'm just saying hypothetically. I'm not gonna tell you what it actually was they were looking for, but someone was gonna go try and find the fountain of youth to restore somebody, but that it was called something different. I want to leave that a little bit of open because that's like one of the parts of the book that you need to go with. And what do you want? You're back here again. She's here again. Um, but so please hit the like and subscribe. I know I really didn't do this too well. It's kind of complicated. But like I said, the one part that I had trouble with, and I am going to read the next book. I'm really interested to see what happens. I didn't realize it was one of those trilogy type things, but this has got 5 books in it. But when they said the map was in 5 parts and they got to retrieve all 5 parts, I'm not even sure they got the first part yet. But it is a little bit of a cliffhanger. It leaves it open for future stuff, and maybe the bad guys will be explained a little bit better in the second book. We'll have to see what happens with that. But if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And I hope you don't forget to watch Star Trek recaps every Friday, my If Then episodes every Friday afternoon. We started with the Bridgertons way back when. If you like the Bridgertons, you might like Joanna Lindsay's Mallory's, Catherine Cultus Sherbrooke's, Stephanie Lawrence Sinsters. Now that's a series that needs to go to Netflix because there's like over 30 of those books, and you can just follow the characters all the way through. So, and Flashback Mondays, where I took about over 30 different books: mystery, science, romance, paranormal, harlequins, contemporary romance, mystery, suspense, and a little bit of erotica here and there. So please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. And my pal here will be appreciative. Come here. Oh, she left. All right. Have a good day. Thank you.